Hi you guys, welcome back. So before we get started today, I do want to say thank you guys so much for getting me to 7,000 subscribers. I know it might be a small milestone in this whole YouTube universe, but I do want to acknowledge all my new subscribers and my existing subscribers for coming in, and it means a lot, and it lets me know that you guys really like what you're hearing and you're taking the time to subscribe. So I just wanted to say that before we get started. So we are back with the Tiffany Henyard recall saga I'm dubbing The Road to Recall. And what I'll be doing and what I've done in this series is I'm looking back at previous board meetings right after Tiffany Henyard was elected as mayor. And we're going to be looking at the board meetings in between up to the time that led up to her recall. It was not successful. If you guys want to know a little bit more about that, what happened with that, you can go ahead and check out my last video that I did on this exact topic. So let's go ahead and move on with part 2. In part 1, we left off on Tiffany Henyard's hiring of her administrative staff. So far she's hired the Delgado law firm and she's hired Dorothy Brown. And I touched on Dorothy Brown. I did not touch on her hiring the Delgado law firm, but her choice to go ahead and go with that law group seems a little weird to me, because looking back at some pictures on her Facebook, she is shown with him taking pictures at a function and they look like they're familiar with each other already. But this was back in 2016 when Tiffany was still a trustee. So they have known each other for a while now, and I'm not sure of the nature of their relationship, their working relationship back then. If anybody knows, she was a trustee. I know at one point the Board of Trustees did hire their own lawyer. I don't know if she was involved in that process back then or not, but you guys go ahead and leave me a comment down below if you know any more about that history with her and Mike Delgado. All right, let's move on from there. So this first clip I'm going to show you is of Tiffany. You know, she's the new mayor, so she's going to start implementing some changes naturally, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and give a listen to what she's talking about.
I want to make sure I'm clear, because a lot of people told me make sure it's really a lot of clarity as it relates to citizens' address. When you come before us, we will hear your question. Your question will go before the board as it relates to whatever it is, right? So I'll give you an example. I'm a Dolton resident. I come up and I say, Board of Trustees, Mayor, I have an issue with a tree.
You guys, trees always seem to be her instinct to go to. And in fact, there have been speculations that there's a type of scam going on with the tree trimming, because, I mean, there's a lot of tree trimming over there in Dolton. I live in a place where there's a lot of trees and I barely see the city out doing things with them. And as a trustee, she had a fascination with trees. Let's take a look at this clip.
Well, can we increase that line? I know that don't sound right, because I know we're doing budget cuts.
That falls in your part. Or
well, my vote is to increase that line. I know you dropped it to 10. I know we do need it. I get a ton of complaints about it, which you know. I hit your email up, your phone up. So we need to increase tree cuts.
So I'm just putting that out there. I don't know if it's true, but that's, again, another controversy that's going on. So let's get back to the video, and what she's really talking about is the change in structure to the citizens' address.
Well, I have an issue with a hole in my street. So then I, the mayor, I would say, okay, well, that would go to the appropriate department, which is Public Works. Or I have a housing issue. So that's how we're going to handle the meeting. The meeting will go, you come up, you say your concern or whatever your question is, it will go to the appropriate department head. That department head will handle it. They have 48 hours to respond to you.
So you guys, this begins the change in communication, okay? So she's saying for citizens address now, you come up, you say your question, you say your concern, but we don't answer. That's basically what she's saying. You come up, you talk to a wall, basically, and then, you know, we'll get the question and we'll get it to the right department head, and then we'll have someone get back to you. To me, it doesn't make any sense. You know, I don't know how many places they do that in as far as board meetings, but I feel like that was the start of the non-transparency, because if you're there and you have the department heads there, which we see them there throughout the meeting, why not answer the citizens' questions? You know, you only have this board meeting now once a month. The citizens come, they take their time off of whatever they're doing to ask their question. Why not just answer it? And if you don't have an answer, at least respond to the person or say, hey, I'll look into that, or I'll have such and such look into that. Give them a specific answer. Don't just brush them off, because I do feel like this structure that she started began the process of the non-transparency. You guys, let me know what you think about that. Let's move on.
If it's other miscellaneous type questions, it will go to my office, and my assistant or the village administrator will answer your questions, and they will respond in writing through email. So I'm just letting you guys know how the process goes, so you don't think we're trying to shut you down or we're not trying to communicate.
Usually when someone has to explain that they're not trying to do something, they're usually doing something. Okay, so like she's saying, we're not trying to shut you down, just so you know, this is not our intentions. Yeah, that's what it sounds like though. So you know, if the shoe fits, wear it, right? All right, let's hear the rest of her explanation as to why she's choosing to do it this way.
We're just trying a different process. So some communities do it this way, where you ask your question, they read it into record and it's noted. And then some communities have it where it's before citizens address, before the board meeting, and you got like 10 minutes. Like say we start a board meeting at 6:30. You got to 6:10 to put your question in, and then after that it's cut off. And then we read those questions into the record. So right now this is the way we're on the structure, and any trustee can be CC'd on any response to the resident, so everyone knows the process.
I think we can see the results of her changing it to this style now, up to date. The residents are not feeling heard. They feel like they're just talking to people who just sit there and stare at them now. And that's how the most recent board meetings are. They come up, they basically vent about how they're feeling about the mayor and the current state of Dolton, and nobody answers. Nobody says anything. So safe to say, I really don't think this was a great start to her mayoral tenure.
So anybody have any questions as it relates to the process? That I explained it enough?
I have one question on that, Mayor. In terms of the follow-up, I don't know if the email addresses come through. So when you say there will be follow-up, there's a comment out there. Do the emails come through so that you have access to follow up with the people, or how do we make sure that a question that a resident has gets?
Good. That was a good question, and you dead on. They need to either add the email. If they want to add a cell number, they can. So they'll do either one. I prefer you to put an email so it is in writing, and you will know that we responded to you.
So you guys, these board meetings took place around COVID time. So people were, entering their comments and stuff into the live chat comment section. So I guess she's saying they can enter their email or their cell number in there. I'm not sure if that's what she's getting at, but I wouldn't feel comfortable putting my phone number in a live chat or my email. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's not what they're saying. You guys, correct me down below if that's not what you're hearing. All right, you guys, I think we've heard enough about her changing up the citizens address structure. Let's move on to the next thing that might have been a red flag leading up to why the trustees decided to try to recall Tiffany Henyard. This next conversation they're having is about the inauguration and the cost of it, and who's going to be paying for, the people that helped with it, the vendors and all that stuff. Let's go ahead and listen, and I'm going to chime back in.
If I could be recognized?
Sure. Go ahead, trustee.
Just a brief discussion that I think the mayor and myself had about this is making sure that from a budget standpoint, just making sure that items over 5,000 are presented to the board in advance. I think because of some of the speed of some of it, this came out faster, but I think we wanted to make sure that we maintain what our practices are around good budgeting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you guys, the cost of her inauguration was something I covered in my first video I did on Tiffany Henyard. So basically the previous administration had spent about $1,000 on inauguration. Tiffany ended up spending $14,000 okay, on her inauguration. And then as we hear, she wants the taxpayers to turn around and pay for that. And you can kind of hear Jason calling her out a little bit, reminding her of what the agreements were. Anything over $5,000 needs to come before the board. But in this next clip, you're going to see Kiana Belcher, and that's the one who always, claps back at Tiffany, so to say. In the recent board meetings, we see her speaking up. She does not hold back. So let's look at her demeanor in this next clip.
Quick question. The motion was to approve for the affordable party planner, and then it stated to send the other items to the warrant list. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. So them being put on the warrant list, does that mean that the village is still going to pay for them?
Correct.
Or it's still up for a vote. It's still up for a vote. Anything on the warrant list is still up for a vote.
So as we can clearly see by Kiana's facial expressions, she's not very happy about how this turned out, about the cost of it, about, the residents now having to pay for it because Tiffany went and put basically everything from her inauguration on the warrant list. What was interesting is when I watched this board meeting, they have the resident comments on the side, and one person said that the residents are not supposed to pay for her inauguration, and that, she got donations and stuff to help out with it, and that's what she should have used for her inauguration because it's considered political. So, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not really familiar with inaugurations and who really pays for it. I did a little research, and I do know with the presidential inaugurations, it looks like taxpayers basically foot the bill of most of that. And that's anywhere from $200 million for the presidential inaugurations and up. So I'm not sure if it's the same with mayors in these small towns or not, but going from spending $1,000 to $14,000 is a big red flag once you're just coming into office as mayor. It's come on, have a little restraint. But as we can see from Tiffany Henyard, if you look nowadays, restraint is not on her list of characteristics. Okay. So you guys, let me know how you feel like this is all starting to unravel. Her spending, her hiring. It looks like Kiana is starting to see the red flags. But unfortunately, I think at this point it's a little too late because she's already in the mayor's seat, right? You guys, once again, if you enjoyed the video, please remember to leave it a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.